Welcome to Beauty Business Matters. I'm your host, Susan Routledge, and this is a really, really special episode because I'm interviewing Alex Belisle Springer, who has interviewed me a few times because what Alex does is he is the global content creator for Phorest Salon Software, obviously our fantastic sponsor, and also podcast host and does so many other things. So, and it's very rare that you're actually in the UK, isn't it? So,
Yes.
So over from Montreal. Thank you. Thank you so much for taking your time, Alex, to come in. Yeah, so this is like quite surreal, isn't it?
I know. Well, thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be over in the UK. Honestly, yes, like you said, it doesn't happen very often. And I feel like the last few times that I've been to the UK, I've only had a very short amount of time, and I've been like very limited to London specifically. So this is super fun. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate the invitation.
Because how long are you over for this time? You've got a little bit longer,
Yeah,
haven't you?
I've got a little bit longer. I'm going to be spending a week in London, a week up in Scotland, and then going back to Dublin for 2 weeks, and then to Toronto, which is not home technically for me, but it's Canadian soil.
Yeah, it's getting nearer. It's getting a bit
exactly.
nearer. Edging back. And obviously the starting reason that he has been for the Phorest Summit as well.
Exactly.
And I mean, I didn't get to catch it all because obviously it's so near to my event for Beauty Directors Club, but I managed to be over on the Saturday and the Sunday, and wow, what an amazing event it's been.
It really has. This year was, wow.
650 there, was it?
I don't actually have the official final count, but I know that it was our biggest one ever.
Yeah,
and you could feel it in the convention center. You know, you could feel how full.
Yeah, this
room was
the thing that and I think this is what everyone loves about Phorest Software. You know, it's like I've watched the company grow from years before you were there, from being when there was just Ronan and 3 or 4 others to the size it is now. But what I love is that the company has never lost that connection, and I know we are going to do 2 episodes because I'm not going to let you go without getting everything from you,
putting me to work.
But this episode we're going to talk very much about your role and how it's developed in the company, and more about sort of how it all works and things. Then the next one we're going to do is going to be a lot deeper on connection and it's going to be a really special second episode that we do. And so nearly 10 years you've been with Phorest.
10 years in 2 months. Well, depending on when this airs. So 10 years on the 21st of March.
Oh, wow. Right.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your background then, because it wasn't to be a podcast host and to do with global education, was it?
No, not at all. I mean, I come from a sound recording background, actually. When it's funny because whenever I'm at events from the industry, one of the first questions that I get from people, or even when I interview guests on the podcast, it's like, so you are what's your background? Like, are you I don't know, have you been a barber, or were you part of the industry? And I guess I give that vibe off a little bit. But my initial response and knee-jerk reaction is to say oh no, I'm not at all. But I'm like, oh, actually, I've been 10 years in the industry at this point with Phorest, because we are so committed to the industry and we're so involved, right? So in a lot of ways, I feel like I am part of the industry now, but yeah, I come from a sound recording background to begin with. I studied social studies after high school, did that 2 years, got what we call, it's CEGEP essentially, but it's in between high school and university. Yeah. So I got that little degree, and then I did a year of trade school, which was that full year of sound recording training essentially, and got that degree, and then happily found a job in a sound studio back in Montreal, who now edits the podcast for Phorest FM. It's full circle. I'm all about connection, so I don't burn bridges, and Yeah.
But how did it go from there to
here?
where, even to like Phorest coming into that connection? How did that all happen?
Yeah, so it's actually like quite a personal story, but I've been happy to share along the way. In 2015, so I was working in the sound studio, and one morning I got a call from my half sister, but I really call her my sister.
Yeah.
We share the same dad, and at the time we weren't that close because she's like 8 years older than me, and so we never really grew up in the same household. Like, so it was very particular for me to like see her name pop up on my phone and to have that call so early in the morning. And I was like, oh, something's like, what's happening? And I remember just answering, being like, hey, like, everything good? Like, what's up? And no, nothing was good at that moment. I mean, my dad, she said, like, you know, Dad and Daniel, who was my dad's wife's youngest, she said they were in a car accident and they didn't make it. And so I like that from that moment on, like this was February 2015, and it just really changed. Yeah, like
takes your perspective to a whole different level, doesn't it?
100%. So, you know, I went into pretty deep grief. I kind of just like started wondering, like, what am I doing? Like, I'm 20 at the time. I was 24. I was like, do I see myself staying in this job, in this role right now? And to be quite transparent, I'd just gotten like $2,000 from the car insurance, like, you know, the aftermath of, and I was like, it feels so weird to come into this like small amount of money, but it's not insignificant either. And what do I do with it? And I wanted to do something significant and like, you know, to just kind of, I figured, you know what, like, I have never really had the time to travel. I went from like high school to another school and then straight into work. And I was like 20, you know? So I was like, all right, well, I'm 5 years into this career that I love, but also at this point in like the studio, there wasn't really like an opportunity to move up roles anytime soon. So I was like, well, maybe the best thing for me, and I was kind of stuck in this like grief, like, you know,
I can imagine.
spot. It's tough, you know, and you don't really ever know when you're going to move through each stage, right? And they can just kind of like come at random times and hit you. So at some point I was just like, okay, well, I'm going to go travel. Like I'm going to see, let's just see what happens when I hit rock bottom? What happens when I don't have a support system, my safety net? Because I had amazing people around me, like, to help me through this, but I just still didn't feel like I was moving through it in the way that I don't know, maybe should, or had expectations of me needing to move through it.
And in some ways, you probably needed to move out of it.
Potentially, So I was like, oh, I'm going to take the gamble and try it. So I started looking around for working holiday visas and where I could go, and I'd considered Germany, and then I was like, maybe Germany's not a great idea because I don't speak the language, and I feel like if I'm going to be there for a while, I should probably speak the language. And not that I was opposed to learning a new language, but, you know, if you're already grieving, it's like, maybe not add another thing. So I had a friend who'd just gone back from Ireland like a few months before, and she was like, I think you would love Ireland. You'd fit right in, like, it's such a cool place. And I started looking into it, and I was like, you know what? I mean, they've got a 2-year working holiday visa. So
wow.
I started like considering it more seriously, and then decided that was going to be the plan. But without having too much of a plan. So I had the visa, I had a one-way plane ticket, 2 bags, and 2 nights in a hostel, and that was it.
Oh my word, Alex!
I didn't know anyone in Ireland. I didn't have a job lined up. I didn't have an apartment. Like, I was just like, I'll get there, and I guess I'll figure it out.
Oh my word! So, it's just trust the process, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. So I was really like committed to just seeing how I would bounce back.
Yeah.
And just, you know, I guess I was open to whatever the universe would like.
And did you know many people in Ireland?
Well, now I do, but at the time, no one. Yeah. So I didn't know Phorest existed even at that point. Moved on January 16th of 2016.
Yeah.
So literally like 10 years this
Yeah.
year. It was a very special moment to come back to the summit, and be with Phorest, just around that like 10-year milestone for me in my life. Like, it's such a big moment.
And was it just a position there waiting for you, or how long were you looking around for something?
I was looking around I got my accommodation. Like, I found an apartment, I think 2-3 weeks in. And then I started looking for jobs because I was like, I don't have that many savings. Like, I have to have to be able to sustain myself. Otherwise, I need to book another, flight back just to ensure that I can make it home at some point. And so I started looking for jobs, and Phorest came up as one of the job specs that I was really interested in, and it was a very unconventional kind of like. It wasn't like it was serious, but it didn't take like the job spec when you read it. It wasn't like taking it too seriously. There was also like, that what you love about Phorest, like how we're all good crack, and it's just like the people are fun. We have that reputation, but we're also very professional. We know what we do and stuff. That came through in the job spec, and I was like, this seems like a cool place to work. And at the time, it was for the role was blog and social media content executive. I didn't really have any experience in the industry whatsoever. I can do that? So I was like, can I but I know how to write. I was writing for arts and culture magazines. I'd been writing for like online blogs in the skateboarding scene and the street art scene in Montreal for a few years at that point. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I know how to write. I can do that. And social media, I don't have official training in that, but I can learn. I'm very much someone like, Phorest has one of the values is growth mindset, and I've always very much been aligned with that. So I was like, I'll learn. I'm willing to. So anyway, so I applied, and it's funny because I applied to so many different like jobs because I was like, I just need to cast my options wide and see what comes back. And there were two companies who called me back, UPS and Phorest. And UPS was interesting to me at the time because my dad had worked for UPS when I was a teeny toddler. And I was like, wow, is this a sign? Like, it's kind of serendipitous, for that to happen. I was way more interested in the job with Phorest, but I was interviewing with both at the same time, and UPS was a lot faster in their offering of like a role and a contract. So just like, the anxiety around like, I'm in Ireland, I don't really have a job right now. I don't know, like I didn't have the certainty that I would land the job at Phorest. So I was like, I feel like I need to take this contract at UPS. So I did. And then I declined the next round of interviews at Phorest, only for them to come back and say like, actually, you were one of our top prospects for this role. No. Would you mind coming back in? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Like I'm free. Obviously, like now I've taken this role. So like, my schedule is a little less open. Like we'll accommodate like a later interview. That's not a problem. So I came back, and then I was offered the role.
So did you actually start for UPS?
Yeah, I did like a week or two of training.
And what was that role?
It was to be in customer service, billing representative in French for like their like Belgium kind of branch. So God, it would have been. It just
makes you wonder now, doesn't it? Like sort of like what where you would be 10 years from now, kind of thing. It would be a totally different.
Oh, totally different. Yeah, 100%.
But the thing is, like Phorest is, to me, it's just such a unique. Well, no, not unique's not the right word. It's just such a brilliant culture, isn't it? I think that's what it's, and. Because it's so brilliant, I think that's what makes it stand out as unique.
Yes. Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. It's something I've said to Ronan Percival like many times, like, because now I've been there 10 years. When I joined, the company had about 80 people. We're over 400. Yeah. Like it's grown like so much over the last 10 years. And I have like, I have so many different like funny memories and stuff of even just moving offices and moving things like by hand, like coming, moving like a chair, like office chair from one office to the other and on the street, but
when I first met, when I first got to know Ronan and everyone, obviously it was just like really small. And then Ronan had like said, will you come over and like speak at our AGM? So I was like, yeah, expecting to be sitting just around like sort of a table with a few people. And there was just like all these people. I was like, where have these come from? And it was just like, because it's just, and I think that must have been around the time when you came in, because it just seemed to be like an explosion going on but he's such a great. I don't know. It was at the meeting there was just all these great ideas, and it was just, even as an outsider, I was just so excited by it. I was thinking, I want to work for Phorest.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, and I think that's what I keep telling Ronan. I feel like I've said this to him many times over the years, but I'm just like I hope you know and understand, like I hope you're proud of what you've built, because the culture here, and to have it stay very similar, obviously like it's grown, but the foundations of what he's built has stayed the same, and the values have like really, like they have stayed very much the same.
This is what I love about Ronan though as well, because even like at the Phorest Summit, he's still there. He's got his family there and everything. And obviously, anyone who hasn't watched the very first episode of Beauty Business Matters, Ronan was the very first guest, and talking about like how Phorest started and everything. But like, I can just imagine you telling Ronan all of this, and he'd just be like, he's just like,
it's kind of what
he's just always so cool about everything, isn't he? He's just like,
it
just takes it all in his stride, and everyone else is like so excited around, and he's just, I don't think he, well, he must inside, you must be buzzing at everything he's created, because it's just awesome.
Yeah, it really is special. It's honestly, like it really has given me so, like, I have so much gratitude. It's really opened up my world to be, surrounded by so many people who are so curious, so passionate, so driven by this human connection, so much fun also. But like it's just an amazing culture to be in, and Phorest has I only have great things to say, honestly. Like, I've been really well taken care of and supported. I've had many different moments in my life in which like I kind of needed to lean on Phorest support, and I've always gotten it. So
this episode is brought to you by our amazing sponsor, Phorest Salon Software. I'm especially delighted about this partnership because I've known CEO of Phorest, Ronan Percival, for over 12 years, and he was also the first guest on this podcast. The Phorest story began with a genuine love for the salon industry, and their passion for helping businesses thrive is what makes them such a great synergy and such a great fit for this show. They bring so much energy and enthusiasm to helping and supporting salons. And as part of this partnership, they are offering an exclusive deal for our listeners. It's a huge 50% off Phorest Salon Software for the first 6 months. It's an incredible saving, especially in today's climate, and a great way for your business to stay focused and strong for 2025 and beyond. If you'd like to take advantage of the offer, simply check out the sign-up link in the show notes, and be sure to mention the podcast when you speak to their fantastic team. And thanks to Phorest Software, and now back to our incredible episode. So when you first started, obviously it was for a social media role kind of thing.
Yeah.
So did you change that, or did they change that?
Well, it was interesting because I was, Phorest has always been very keen to do to provide education. Like the ethos around the marketing that we ever since I was in, but even before me, the marketing was always like, well, we want to create educational content. We want to, help the industry. So the blogs that we were writing, the social media content that we were putting out was a mix of that. It was like the educational pieces and also the little bit of fun. And I think that still comes through in our content today. But in the interview, they were asking me, if you're looking at our content channels currently, are we missing anything? What would you add? And I was like, well, I come from a sound recording background. Podcasts weren't big at the time. This was 2016. Like, they existed and they had existed for a long time, but they hadn't like exploded the way that, they have now. But I was like, I think, understanding the nature of the industry, even just, on the surface at the time, I was like, I think podcasting would be a really good channel to add because, you're talking to people and working with people who are like, always like on the run and doing this and that. And it's like, it's easy to just, pop headphones in and
just another multitask.
Exactly. Right. So I was like, I think that could be a really cool channel. And I think there's a lot of, really fun things that we could do. And, so we leave it at that. And then 6 months later or something like that, a few months later anyways, Killian Vigna joins Phorest, and he gets the same question in the interview and he says the same thing. So we find each other working on the same team, on the marketing team. He's on a different role, but we both have this idea of like, it'd be amazing to have a podcast. And Connor Keppel at the time, who was heading up marketing, you remember Connor, was like, well, if we're going to try this out, like, you're more than let's do it. Let's try it. And see like the reaction. And we were like, okay, amazing. Great. So we were like, we're both introverted to begin with. And this is a story we've shared on the podcast many times, like early days, probably more. But we were like, we did not plan on hosting it at all. There were so many
the idea behind it.
We were like, we were going to produce it. We were going to like, come up with the content, but we had so many people on the team who were so much more extroverted than we were that we were like, surely that's not going to be us. And then Connor and Chris Brennan at the time were like, nah, like if you're going to try this out, like you're actually going to do it. And
we're yours.
Like, oh, okay. And so we embarked on this journey together, and Killian was on the podcast, and we co-hosted it until 2021.
Remember all this.
Yeah. He left the company in 2021, and I'm still very much in touch with him. I'm supposed to spend the week with him and Nace when I get back to Dublin later on this month. But yeah, it was a great time. We really built it from scratch, it was
the great thing is because you just made it your own though, didn't you, kind of thing. And
we tested out a lot of stuff. Like the first 3 years was really like seeing what direction we wanted to go with it, how, like, what identity would it have, what worked, what people were resonating with. And
have you ever gone back and listened to the very first episodes?
I haven't in a long time, but I have before. Yeah. But yeah, it's a very interesting experience for me specifically because I'm trans, and so I started taking testosterone in 2022 and medically transitioning. So when I listen back to the earlier episodes, my voice is completely different. There's that element of it too.
That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah. So it's like, and because it is all auditory,
it's a very surreal experience for me to listen back to it now. But yeah, I have in the past for sure. But it's also cool to listen to just because like you can see us like building confidence and like finding where we were like, okay, this is where we want to go with it. This is what people are enjoying. And you can see the podcast like at some point really like securing its identity essentially.
And were you very much, you and Colleen, left to make it your own, or did you? Was there
honestly,
guidance around it, or was it just like, right?
A lot of trust.
Get on with it.
A lot of trust. We would still like, ping pong ideas with the team and this and that, and still do. But we were very much entrusted, like try to find the guests, and we'd get we still do. Like I still ask foresters all the time, like, do you have any guests that you would want to recommend onto the show and stuff? But yeah, I mean, honestly, it's I think what's really beautiful with Phorest is in a lot of ways we have opportunities to like to test things out and to like I've been able to like kind of like tailor, not so much like tailor my, there's obviously always an overseeing thing, but like you can really lean into what you're really good at and what you're passionate about, and we'll do our best to kind of like work with that, because that's when you get the best out of people.
And that really comes across in all of the episodes, like in that. I think that, I know we were saying about early days, but I think all the way through that's been consistent. And some absolutely brilliant guests, but brilliant, you pulled some brilliance out of those guests as well, I would say. Thank you. How many, do you know how many episodes you've done?
We are starting season 10, I believe, on 320. It's either 327 or 328, but that's without counting the occasional bonus episodes. So yeah, over 300, which is mind-blowing to me.
And do you batch, or do you do them separately, the interviews and things?
Most of them are separate. Sometimes I'll have weeks where I do many recordings, but I'm also neurodivergent. So like sometimes doing back to back like in one day is a bit too much. Like I get very tired after, and I don't feel like I'm giving the best of me if I do too many in one go. So even just having like a day in between helps.
And then once you've done recording, are you still doing editing then, or does that go to another team now then? Are you just doing the recording?
Well, I do the recording, I do the planning of it, the prep, all that. But also just a little bit of like the pre-editing. So just kind of like, especially now with the episodes that we have that are more narrative, like there's some that we published, if I don't know if you've caught a few of them, but there's one called The Story of Phorest. And it's with Ronan, and there's a lot of music, and there's, different voices coming in at different times and stuff. It's more like documentary-esque. So those ones I try to, make it, especially for the sound studio who edits now. I'll put together the A to B, like all the voices are there in the right spots, but then they do the whole like magic, fine tuning and adding the music and adding tension when it needs to have tension, or adding pauses when like leaving space, things enough space to breathe, and they do the final mix. And it's from season 4, so that would have been 18, 19, 20, I think, from 2020. It was we hired, we get them edited by the sound studio that I used to work at.
That's brilliant. Is that obviously your well, the thing is that it's always good to use what you know, and is good. And
and it comes back, and I know we're going to talk about this in the second episode, but like I'm very much driven by like human connection. It's one of my like biggest things, and so I try to, one of my I was asked by someone this weekend, what's your favorite part of the summit, and it was like my answer came so naturally, and I was just like, seeing people I haven't seen in a long time, making new friends along the way. Like I just want to connect. That's the most like exciting part of all of this, because you never know who you're going to meet, how you're going to connect later on, what you might collaborate on. There's like a lot of, there's a lot of beauty in just being open to meeting new people.
I know, I just did a blog about that actually, because like everyone's always like saying to me, how do you get everything done? Because like, I'm here and then I'm here and I'm here. But like it's putting priorities in it, and coming to Phorest, I thought, obviously because it's so near to my event, I was like, should I? And then I thought, no, I need to go. And the thing is that from the point of getting off the flight and waiting for Arif, who obviously was a good friend of us both now, and we were going to get a taxi together. You know, he'd already met people on the flight who was one already worked for Phorest, one was a guest. So we ended up going into Dublin all together. Great conversations. Ended up then having lunch. Then was the drinks thing on the night. Then the next day. And you just naturally, it's just, you can't help but make great connections. And it's, and it, you know, it just felt like I met the right people at the right time all of the way through, but with high energy all the way through as well. No, I mean, hats off to you guys for the summit. It's, I mean, you know, my event, we've got just over 30, and I can remember when the Phorest Summit was that kind of size. But now over 600, and there's so many people come over from America and everywhere, isn't there? It's just
it's pretty global now. It's very much international. We've got so many. I mean, we had people coming from Germany, Australia, Finland, Canada, the US, Ireland, UK, of course. It's very. Yeah, it's huge now. But it's been interesting because like over the weekend, I was actually recording segments with some folks who've been coming to the summit for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, you know, and I was, because I'm building an episode to like trace the history of the Phorest Summit essentially. And I think it's going to be really, really cool to listen back to.
I can even remember the early ones, and it was like, right, we're all going to the pub across the road now. Can you imagine?
Yeah, exactly. And the things that they were sharing with me, I was like, oh my God, that is like, it's so wild to think that it was not that long ago, but also like, still like close, 10 years. Yeah. This was the 10th summit.
Like, it just gives you even more content. Exactly. And obviously it's changing again for next year. So it's very, very exciting. So obviously we've talked a little bit about the podcast. Yeah. But now as well, you do an awful lot with like all of the education side of Phorest. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I think we're still kind of like trying to, the same way that the podcast like had to figure out its own identity. I think we're still trying to figure out how Phorest Academy will like find its true like identity, I guess. Like we're still testing a lot of things out, trying to get feedback, trying to make the experience so much better for everyone. There's a colleague of mine, Steve Collender, who is pretty much like the resource person for Phorest Academy and builds so many of our courses now. But where I come in with that is I've built some Grow With Master classes that are more like business education focused in collaboration with industry coaches and consultants. And then
I think I've done some stuff with you on that as well, haven't we? So
well, last year we worked together on a course, like a blended, but that's the thing. So I was like, I like these Grow With Master classes and they're getting great reaction. I think people really like the insights from coaches. But to me, it was like, we're not quite there. Like, I feel like I wanted to try something that would blend that and the amazing courses that Steve would put together on Phorest Academy that had more to do with like the Phorest product and how to use it and how to best, get the most out of it essentially. So I was like, what if we blended the two? I feel like there's so many cool pieces that, like, the features that come and that are built in Phorest, they always come from a need in the industry. Yeah. And so when you think about that, you can tie it back to thought leadership that a coach or a consultant in the industry will inevitably be talking about at some point. Yeah. And so I was like, what if we blend the two and have a bit of those come into play together? And that's how the course that we worked on together last year was around staff goals, but that's kind of how it came together. And that's gotten really, really great reaction. So I'm looking forward to see how how that shapes up in 2026. But we're definitely going to try to lean into that direction a bit more.
But this is what I do love about Phorest as well. The they do take on board what everyone's saying, what they need as well. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that can start something small.
Yeah.
And it's normally something around a report or whatever. But then that gets bigger and bigger. And like you say, it can end up being a full-blown course or whatever.
Yeah.
With everything, I mean, obviously the podcast is there for anyone to watch. And the podcast is... What's the podcast's full name?
It's Phorest FM. I mean, the tagline is changing this year, and it's not been announced just yet.
All right, okay.
But it'll be coming out soon.
If anyone wants to follow along, it's Phorest FM.
Phorest FM, you'll find it for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we're the whole like idea behind the podcast and where it's at. It's really amplifying community voices, because I really truly believe that everyone has their parcel of wisdom and story to share, and I'm a super huge believer in story sharing. I think that's one of the biggest roots of connection. You know, to find, I think there's always some way, somehow, that you can find common ground with someone, that you can, you know, relate to one another. We're all human, right? So like there's the human connection there that comes into play again. And I think what's super special about Phorest being, you know, in so many different regions now is that we get to invite guests from all over the world and share knowledge between so many different parts of the world.
Yeah, it always fascinates me, because like obviously I've got Beauty Directors Club, and you know, all of the members, we started doing the Beauty and the Best books, and that was a way of, I mean, this all started during...
I still have it at home.
It all just started during the lockdown, because I just thought, right, you know, everyone needed a boost.
Yes.
And as well, everyone's got such great stories behind what they're doing. So we decided to do the first multi-author book. And, you know, as I say, although we're all in the same industry, every single story, totally different, their journey different, where they were taking their business to and where they've gone to now. See, that one is bestseller. And I love that Ronan got so many copies for everyone, so that they would like be able to immerse in sort of like the mindset of like what salon owners were going through. And then we did the second one, the third one. And, you know, the thing is that, so now we've got like 66 authors, yet
that's fantastic.
All of them are totally different stories. So it's like, and you know, it just blows my mind to think that it's like the same industry, and yet, you know, obviously we had 600 and odd at the Phorest Summit. Every single one of them started with just one, with an idea, turned it into a business, one client, and then just drove it forward in so many different directions. It's, I mean, I love our industry, we both do, but you know, it's as I say, as an industry, although on the high street you can look at businesses and they'll look the same, different story behind them all. Yeah. So fascinating.
It really is. And I think, you know, like the beauty in it all is that different experiences will shape different perspectives and how to approach different things or different challenges in business, right? So by sharing all these stories and sharing the way that you moved through, you know, good times, or took, I don't know, decided to take a risk and go with that, or maybe moved through a hardship, you know, you can learn from one another, even though the stories are all different. At some point, it's like, oh, well, actually, like we can all learn from each other, and that's just, you know, so beautiful.
And I think that's where we both have that advantage as well, because like I love doing podcasts and you do too, but the thing is, it's because you can get everyone's story that they don't normally get to tell as well, because the thing is that I think it's a British thing more so, isn't it, where, you know, you're not really to be boastful, you know, like you know, like you don't boast about what you've done, where now I think you've got to be out there shouting about what you do, and you know, because there's you know, so much greatness in our industry, and you know, the saying, it's getting it out there and sharing it all, which I love. And I love being nosy as well. I love finding out. I love finding out what all little things about everyone. Because, like, as I say, even the 10 years that you've been doing what you've done, the time that we spend together, we're only going to touch on a tiny little part of like something awesome that you have like developed over these years. It's just...
Yeah, and you mentioned COVID, and the podcast and the book coming out at that time. And it's I remember I was reflecting back, just like, getting myself into the zone for this interview, this conversation. And I was like, actually, yeah, like during lockdown, like that season, that year, I think it was season 4. We were just... I mean, our listenership grew exponentially during that time. So many,
the connection though, isn't it?
Well, people were looking for, support, right? Yep. And Phorest, in any way that we could, we wanted to support, that was a fundamental thing. We were like, how can we best support the industry right now? Yeah. And through the podcast, that's what came through. It was like, okay, well, let's share stories of people who are moving through this with community, building things in their local areas to help each other out. And I think that was, one of the coolest things to kind of witness and to like uncover these like little stories that could help other people in different regions, overcome certain things.
It was a really tough time, but there was so much goodness came out of it.
Yeah.
It's like, and now 5 years on, like thinking, that like the world stopped. Like it's hard to like imagine that now, isn't it? Yeah. And the thing is that now it looks like, when you look back, it feels like it was maybe just a matter of a few weeks, isn't it? Like,
to me, like since then, time has been a very weird thing. I don't know about you, but for me anyways, I'm like, was that 2 years ago, 3 years? I don't know.
I know.
The concept of time is weird.
It has. It's like sort of blown things, hasn't it? It's weird, but in a very great way as well. And I think it gave people time to stop and reflect and think about what they wanted to do. And, and there was, as I say, it gave people the opportunity to change direction in what they wanted to do, like in business, in life, in everything. Yeah, it's just, as I say, it was a tough time, but it was a time that I think now you like think, I lived through that kind of thing. Yeah. And it's just, can't ever imagine it ever happening again. So it's like,
I know, yeah.
So with the podcast and everything that you're doing, is the plans for anything to change, or is it going to stay the same? Or
you want like the inside scoop on season 10?
Do. Yes, that's a subtle way of me asking.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we have a few little different things that are coming down the line that I hope get people excited. Season 10. Well, the last like 2 years we've changed. Like I don't know. For some folks who started listening like a few years ago, we used to release an episode every single week.
Yeah.
We decided to release every second week. In I think starting last year officially. Yeah. And stick to that schedule. I think that went really well last year, so we're going to keep that. It also allows, for a bit more of those like case study, documentary kind of episodes with the music and this and that. The history of the Phorest Summit is going to be one of those.
That's going to take more production behind it, isn't it?
Yes,
really, as well.
A whole lot more. Yeah, but they're super fun, and I think from what I'm seeing in terms of the analytics, when I look at like how well they perform and stuff, they do resonate.
And you're going to keep it auditory, or
that will, for the most part, anyways. It's I think because so many of our guests come from all around the world. It's always kind of harder to We'd nearly have to, batch record and fly so many different people into like one space, including myself. Like it's logistically challenging.
Yeah.
So I think it's like for this season anyways, it's definitely going to be auditory, like majority of the time. It is the 10th season though, so I do want to have some.
Got to celebrate.
I know. Well, that's the thing. So I do want to have some episodes where we can do like live recordings, whether that's at events or if I'm traveling like here, for example, or in Dublin, like if there's an opportunity to collaborate with like a regional team, like say the UKI team, and they're at an event and we can do a live podcast, then we'd like definitely take the opportunity to like film it as well. So there might be some of those coming down the line this year. There's been some discussions here and there, so nothing confirmed, so I can't like officially say anything, but that's definitely something I'd love to do. But I definitely, we're super committed to the industry. We want to work together to make the industry stronger. I mean, you were there on the first day of the summit. Ronan unveiled the new mission, the updated mission, right? And that's really what it is. So when I think about the team in the States, for example, they go to so many different events. I think was it last year or maybe the year before? I think they went over 85 events throughout the year. It's huge. And I'm like, well, let's be more present even with the podcast. Like, let's do more, event activations, whether that's like live from episodes. I was recording some of those at the summit, been doing it for like 2-3 years, but even just being at different events, even if it's not our own, and we're there, we already have a presence, we're connecting with people there. Well, let's connect with them and have like a little like snippet bonus episode that like gives people like a taste of what events maybe in other countries or other regions that they're not in are like, and just share more stories essentially.
So now that Phorest's gone global, have you seen a change in the listeners? Like, obviously, do you track where
they're coming from? I mean, the US is definitely the bigger kind of chunk of our audience listenership base, I guess. But the US is also a huge country. So there's a lot of people. But it's super interesting. Like when you look at the listenership, it's really it's the same big regions that we operate in. So, it's resonating with all the places that we work within very closely. So US, Canada, Ireland, UK, Australia. We've got some people who listen from Germany, but obviously it's not in German. So, but maybe one day, I know, so there's room for.
That's what I was amazed at, the fact with this podcast. I just thought it'll be people just from the UK, but again, we've got a lot from America and different things listening. You
never know where it's gonna like
exactly reach, I mean, the world is a big place, but it's a small place, isn't it, kind of thing. And do you find that it is all salon owners listening?
I mean, we've got a wide variety. It's like coming
you've
from
got great topics which aren't just, well, some of them can be very salon orientated, but others are just interesting as well for anyone.
I mean, I think there's some stories that are more, more on the like personal level, but there's lessons in like resilience and there's always like a lesson in there that you can unearth, and that's what I'm like that's what I love, to unearth like maybe the quiet truths or the lessons learned, or just the but I mean, I think wait, what was the question?
It was about whether the readership is
if it was just salons. I think, well, it's definitely coming. Like I get a better sense of who's listening when I actually am at events. Like when I'm at the summit, for example, I will actually get a lot of people come up to me and say like, hey, I've been listening to the podcast on my way to work, or this or that. And so I kind of get to see a little bit of who's listening, and it's definitely like across different sectors. You've got salon owners, spa owners, clinics. We're leaning into more conversations to be had around Medi and aesthetics this year as well for season 10. So,
I always, with the podcast, and you'll find it the same same. I think more so because obviously we're on YouTube and everything as well. But like everyone, like someone will come over and start talking to me, and I'm like thinking, do I know it? Or, you know? And then they'll go like, I love the podcast, and then I think, that's where we know each other from, you know? Because the thing is, because like people like it. They relate to you so much more, don't they? With things like podcasts and that, which I absolutely love.
But you know, there's actually someone in Ireland, David Campbell. I don't know if you know him.
I don't think so.
Well, House of Color and
oh
Salon
yes.
He actually told me in December, I believe it was. He was like, I have my like leadership team, like I listen to the podcast, but like I will also have my leadership team listen to it and I quiz them on it, and I was like, stop.
That's taking the education side to a new level, isn't it?
Yeah, and I had no idea. I mean, like I've known David for a long time now, but yeah, this is the first I heard of it, and I was like, wow.
But this is the thing is, because obviously this is a podcast that anyone, whether someone's a Phorest user or not, can access.
Yeah.
What other things can someone access? There's still an active blog, isn't there?
Absolutely.
That's out there.
Yeah.
Some of the education, is that available for
we have
anyone?
We have webinars that we host that are accessible to Phorest and non-Phorest users. We have, I mean, you're always more than welcome to come up to any stands or any of the events that we're at and say hi and, you know, get to know us and stuff. We do a lot of activations usually at events as well. So, but yeah, like the blog is super active, probably more than ever in the last like few years.
Yeah.
Like
some
it used to be
fantastic topics.
Yeah. And it used to be my like remit when I first started and we mentioned it. But then, you know, I moved into different roles and now I'm in the role that I'm in. I contribute to it every now and again, but my colleague Steph Fernandez, they do an amazing job at you know, looking after it, and you might have met them over the weekend, but you know, they were really trying to connect with different people to get more voices from the industry to contribute to the blog as well, and again in that same mentality of like, let's share knowledge, you know. So yeah, there's a lot of really cool things that are going to come out on the blog this year for sure. Super helpful. But yeah, webinars. We've tested out a few Phorest Academy courses that could be accessible even if you weren't using Phorest in your business. So there might be a little bit more of testing in that realm this year.
And is all that accessible from the website? Is that the best place? Or where's the best
all the
place
links are like there for sure. I can't remember the exact tab, but you like, I think it's Learn, I think the tab is called, and then you can like access the blog from there. You can see all the resources that we have. We have ebooks. We have, you know, like calculator tools and stuff that are accessible on the website as well.
I think we should say as well, anyone who's listening who doesn't know Phorest, it's spelt with a PH. Because someone said to me once, I can't find Phorest, and I was what you? No, it's not an F, it's a PH.
We do have a Phorest though.
Yes, I know. I like how you linked that. So the thing is that really there's loads out there, and obviously loads still to come, which I know you can't talk a great deal about some things that are coming, but that's again, as I say, what I always love is that there's just always it's always looking forwards. That's what I love about Phorest. It's always looking forwards, and it's I don't know where it's going to go to, because it's just
I know. I know. Well, it's interesting because I feel like, you know, because so many of the features, when I think about features and like the actual software, right? Because so many of them, if not all of them, come from ideas and needs from the industry directly. You know, there's a whole research team, the product team and the research team, like we'll do a lot of calls to just try to uncover, okay, what's the actual need here? And like, how do we build this to make it work for businesses in the industry in different sectors, you know? And I think it's exciting even for us to see where it might go and what we might develop, you know. When you think back at COVID, like the some of the features that we built there and then, like the online store feature, for example, like all these things stemmed from, okay, how do we support the industry if everything's closed? How can we help people generate revenue?
We need this. And then it's like, we've created it kind of thing.
But we like co-create with the industry, really. So, you know, we definitely have a ton of great ideas, but we also are feeding off what's coming from the industry into our feedback, you know, systems and loops and all that.
And obviously we haven't really touched on AI, but I mean, there was a lot around AI, and that is going to be huge in everything. But I do feel like Phorest's still going to always have that human connection, and it's even though it's Salon Software and it's all like in the online space. I think the fact that the team is growing larger and larger and larger, where you know you would expect that to be going smaller and smaller and smaller, wouldn't you? With it, like, because it's like, you know, this thing where, you know, everyone always thinks everyone's going to get replaced by AI. I think it just proves that, like, there's AI, but then there is also this human connection side, which is never going to go. And I know this is a lot what we're going to talk about in the next episode and go a lot deeper into that. But I mean, hats off to you, Alex, for all you've done. I mean, it's
thank you.
You know, a testament to you and all that you've brought into like this element of like Phorest, and along with everybody else and all the team, you know, as I say, I
appreciate that. I definitely feel like it's a team effort, you know, even if I'm like maybe the more core person around the podcast per se, it's, you know, I couldn't have done it with so many other people's help along the way. And still, you know, today I had people like on my team over the weekend, you know, being like, okay, how can I help? And I was like, I would love to like feature Vox Pops segments on these episodes. I don't have the time to like go and chat with people. Could you record, like, you know? So I'm getting people involved in different ways and within their capacity as well. But yeah, I couldn't do it without a huge team around and just the trust that people have and people listening, because you know as you know yourself, like you can produce a ton of episodes, but if it's not, you know, helping anyone,
but again, I think that's, you know, the fact that like you have got such good like stats on people tuning in, you are doing a fantastic things with it, and I can't wait to see where it all goes to next.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I feel like I'm a bit of an archivist, you know, like in some ways we're building an anthology in some ways. Yeah, it's really special.
Yeah, exciting times ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Alex.
Thank you, Susan.
I just loved this. Like getting that one back on you, interviewing you instead. I loved it, and thank you so much.
No, it's been a great time. Thank you so much.